Trigger warning. This video contains subject matter that some people may find disturbing. Hello, 'tis I, Fat Cow. We all know what the rumours are. We all know what is being implied and suggested when it comes to Amberlynnreid's preferences, for want of a better word. But what actual evidence do we have? I mean, the fact that there is evidence or indicators or signs is worrying enough as it is. In the normal course of things, most people don't have indicators of such a preference. So to have an indicator in itself is suspicious, but to have multiple? So what do we actually know? We know on Ask FM, Amber defended, for want of a better word, people with this particular preference. She even went so far as to compare it to being a sexual preference no different than being gay or straight or pan or queer or a lesbian. That's a very peculiar, let's say, way of looking at this particular prolificy. I said that wrong, I'm so sorry. The majority of the people don't view this in this way. The majority of people would argue against it. The people who argue for this particular way of looking at things tend to be those who belong to a certain group of people who refer to themselves as MAPs, or a minor attracted person. People who are attracted to minors. They would say that, don't call us PDFs, we have this sexual preference for, but we deliberately make the conscious choice not to act on it. Some psychologists would say that maybe they have a point, but it's in the minority. And most people who would defend this point of view are an absolute minority. The majority of people who defend this point of view are those who are within this group. Secondly, we have Amberlynn's behaviour around Libby, who at the time was 15 years old. Now, the sexual talk was incredibly inappropriate, but I would argue also it was very inappropriate for YouTube anyway, given that Amber's content isn't age restricted. Asking Libby to model a bathing suit for it to be filmed, not appropriate. Lots of things not appropriate. But then we also have, after the allegations, all material involving Libby being purged from Amber's account. Innocent people don't feel the need to remove potentially incriminating things from their timeline because they know it's not actually incriminating. We could argue she just panicked. We could argue that this is extremely suspicious behaviour and should be concerning. We also have a 17 to 18-year-old Amber dating a 15-year-old Casey. That in itself isn't necessarily a big deal given the age that Amber was at the time. But the emotional blackmail and pressure to get Casey to send pictures of their private parts to Amber is. Casey was very, very, very uncomfortable about it and made it very, very, very known they were uncomfortable about it. And Amberlynn's response was emotional blackmail and saying basically, if you don't send me these pictures, I will stop being in a relationship with you. And my final point, which nobody seems to be addressing, but has struck me as being very, very off, for want of a better phrase. Now, in my 52 years of life, I have never heard an adult female describe their own private parts in the same way as Amberlynnreid. Please forgive me for this topic. She has said on many occasions that her area is dainty, tidy, pretty. She refers to her as being too small, only accommodating a single digit. No adult woman describes their private area using these terms. It's bizarre. Is that how Amberlynn sees herself? As somewhat more, sorry, I'm so sorry, but childlike in that area, which in itself is really quite disturbing. I have nothing more to add. It's just an observation that gave me very uncomfortable feelings. So, my argument is, given the fact that we don't have just one indicator of, we have many indicators of. There's no smoke without fire, one would say. Or possibly, more accurately, if it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, and if it quacks like a duck, there's a really good chance that it's a duck.